So now I'm going to take this opportunity to put the eyes on my Charmander. So we need to get our safety eyes and their backs. Okay, and once again, these are 12mm safety eyes. You can use larger ones if you want. They make them in like 15 and 18mm ones too. The bigger eyes tend to look really cute, but they're harder to come by. So like I just got these at like Joann Fabrics or something like that, and this was the biggest size they had. But if you want to go online and order them, you can find bigger ones. So I like to put them between stitches or rows 13 and 14. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 1. Put that right there. And don't put on the back yet. So you want to wait and make sure that everything is the way you want it to be before you put the back on. Because once you put the back on, they're not coming off. I'm pretty sure that's why they're called safety eyes, because they're not coming off. So that's pretty safe to give to children, but I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, that's where the safety part comes in. The backs aren't coming off, the eyes aren't coming off once these backs are on, if they're good quality safety eyes. The lower quality ones, you can sometimes wiggle the backs off, which kind of is a benefit to getting cheap ones. So now I like to put these about 12 or so stitches apart. We're gonna put on a piece right here, which is gonna be his nose, like the snout of his nose. So you need to make sure that you put them far enough apart to make room for that. And the snout of his nose is about 15 stitches all the way around. So that's like, 8 stitches or so that you're gonna need free in this area, but you don't want the eyes to be too close to the nose. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And this seems kind of far apart, but I always like to make sure that I have enough room for his snout, because if you put the eyes too close together, the snout's gonna go over the eyes, and you don't want that. So better too far apart than too close together. Although, if Charmander is like a dragon or dinosaur type Pokemon, that means he's probably carnivorous, which means he would have forward-facing eyes. But that's getting a little too sciencey. So if they're too far apart, that's fine. Better too far apart than too close together. So when you like the position they're in, you can go through and put the backs on, and make sure that when you put the backs on, this tail isn't in there. You're not getting the side of it too close together, because if you put the back on and the side is like stuck under there, then it's stuck that way. It's stuck, and it's not going to come out easily. If you're lucky, you might be able to wiggle it out, but yeah, so make sure that there's nothing in the way when you press the backs on, because once the backs are on, they are on. I messed up one once, and I gave the one that I messed up to my dog. I didn't mess up the safety eyes part, but it turned out a way I didn't like it. So I gave it to my dog, and even my dog couldn't get the eyes off. He tried. He couldn't get the eyes off. The actual plastic piece right here broke in half before the back came off the eye. So that's how well these are on. You can give it to like a dog or somebody who's really gonna try and pull hard and it's not coming off. Don't use that as an excuse to give this to a child, though. I wouldn't give it to like a baby, because just in case the safety eyes come off, but for the most part they shouldn't come off. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to continue to crochet the rest of the body. Now, Charmander does have a different colored stomach than his back, and if you're a more advanced crocheter, you can actually crochet it and then change colors so that the body is all one piece with the stomach color crocheted and weaved into the back color. But since I want this to be a tutorial that even a beginner can do, we're going to avoid changing colors, and we're just going to crochet all orange, and then we're going to make a separate piece which is going to be the stomach color, and just sew that on after that. So we're going to stick with our orange color. And now we're going to do an increase round. We're going to increase in every single one of these stitches, but we're going to kind of do a fancy increase, which is a front loop increase. So let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm going to do. So what we're going to do is, instead of going through both loops and increasing that way, we're going to increase and only do it in the front loop. So you just take the one loop. So we have our stitch right here, and bring your hook up through the first loop and pull your yarn through and single crochet one, then back in through that same front loop and single crochet two. So that's our increase. And then in the next one, we go single crochet one for three and four. And then in the next one, 5 and 6. And let me zoom out so that I can see what I'm doing a little better. And then in the next one, 7 and 8. And remember, stay in the front loop only. 9 and 10. 11 and 12, 13 and 14, and then 35 and 36, I think. So I just heard myself counting and I knew that I messed up. So let me just count these stitches to make sure that I have the amount that I want. I want 36 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Okay, so I have one too many. All right, so now I have 36 stitches. Sorry. Yeah, you want 36 stitches, so you wanted to increase. So before we had 18 stitches, and you wanted to increase in every single stitch so that now you have 36 stitches. I'm sorry, I was counting and I don't know, but somehow I messed up my count. So just be sure that you're paying attention, and you can always count after every single round to make sure that you have the number of stitches that you want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly what we did last time, which is to crochet all the way around just continuously. And this time we're going to crochet all the way around for 5 rounds. So right now we have 36 stitches, and we're going to increase, or we're going to single crochet all the way around 36 stitches for 5 rounds. So you can put in a stitch marker if you want. But I just use right here as a gauge, and then I count 6 up because we already have one row right here, so that I can figure out where I am. So you just single crochet 1 all the way around until you have 5 rounds. So I will meet you back here when that is all done. Okay, so I've come to the end of my 5 rounds. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff the head. So you need to get your toy stuffing or your yarn scraps, whichever you have. I have some extra yarn scraps that I'm going to use, so I'm going to use a combination of yarn scraps and toy stuffing. So I've got these ones that I'm just going to shove right down in here. And some more of that. And you want it to be full, but you don't want it to be overly full. One thing that's kind of interesting is this brand of yarn that I use is the exact same brand that I use to make this Squirtle. It's the exact same one. But what's interesting is Charmander's head is turning out much bigger than Squirtle's. I don't know why. It's the exact same brand of yarn, exact same weight of yarn. So that's part of the reason why you want to make sure that you use the exact same brand and weight of yarn when you're doing your set, if you're going to do all these Pokemon in a set, because even despite that, this one is still ending up bigger and the pattern is almost exactly the same. So that really can't be helped, but you can kind of manage it a little by making sure that you don't overstuff this and make it bigger than it's gonna be. Or if you've already made the Squirtle one and you notice that your Charmander is turning out smaller, you can kind of control that a little bit again with the stuffing. So I have no idea why, despite the fact that I use the exact same brand and weight of yarn, this Charmander is turning out giant. That's just kind of the way it is. And you just manipulate it until it looks the way you want it to look. That's good. Let me just compare this one more time. Oh, giant. I guess that's not too bad. I mean, when I'm looking on camera, it doesn't look too bad, but when I'm looking at it right in front of me, it kind of does. That's okay, though. All right, so there's that. All right, so now we're going to start our decrease rounds, and just like we did last time, we're going to decrease on multiples of 6, because right now we have 36 stitches and we want to go from 36 to 30. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 6. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 5 and 6 are going to be single crochet or are going to be decreased together. So we put our hook through the front loop of number 5 and through the front loop of number 6, pull our yarn through, and single crochet 1. There we go. So now they're together. And now we continue for 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 and 12 go together. So put your hook through the front loop of 11 and your hook through the front loop of 12. And 13, 14, 15, 16, then 17 and 18 are decreased together. So for the front loop of 17 and the front loop of 18. Then 19, 20, 21, 22, and then we're going to decrease for 23 and 24. So put your hook through the front loop of 23 and through the front loop of 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, and then through the front loop of 29 and the front loop of 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, and through the front loop of 35 and the front loop of 36. So we've just come to the end of our first decrease round. Now we're going to decrease again. Now we have 30 stitches and we want to decrease down to 24 stitches. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 5. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, and then through the front loop of 4 and the front loop of 5. 6, 7, 8, front loop of 9 and front loop of 10. 11, 12, 13, and then decrease 14 and 15. 16, 17, 18, decrease 19 and 20. 21, 22, 23, decrease 24 and 25. 26, 27, 28, decrease 29 and 30. All right, so we've just decreased from 30 down to 24. Now we're going to decrease again from 24 to 18. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 4. So we single crochet 1, 2, then decrease 3 and 4. 5, 6, decrease 7 and 8, 9, 10, decrease 11 and 12, 13, 14, decrease 15 and 16, 17, 18, decrease 19 and 20, 21, 22, decrease 23 and 24. All right, so that's the end of our round. We just decreased from 24 down to 18. Let's count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we're going to decrease from 18 down to 12, and this will be our last decreased round. So we decrease on every multiple of 3. So we single crochet 1, decrease 2 and 3. 4, decrease 5 and 6. Oopsies. 5 and 6. 7, decrease 8 and 9. 10, decrease 11 and 12. 13, decrease 14 and 15. 16, decrease 17 and 18. All right, so that's our last round of decreases. Now we're going to take our hook and just pull up kind of a long tail, that way it doesn't come unraveled. And we're going to stuff the body. So take your toy stuffing or your yarn scraps, whichever you're using, and stuff the bottom part of the body. And this one you kind of want to understuff it a little bit because you want it to be able to lay flat. So the way that you kind of ensure that it's able to sit upright is to have it kind of understuffed in the butt of it, for lack of a better word. So, I don't want to use that one. So you want it to be full, but not too full, if that makes sense. It might be too much. Okay, so this is probably good. All right, so now it looks like this. And let me just show you the Squirtle to compare it and see how big this is coming out. Yeah, look at that. Exact same yarn, exact same weight, 2 different sizes. Oh my gosh, how does this happen? Oh well. So now we are going to take this yarn tail right here and cut it. So we break our yarn, and then you can just pull your yarn through like this, and we're gonna sew up the rest of it. So you're going to need your large embroidery needle, okay? And then put your yarn through. There we go. And so now we're essentially going to do the exact same thing that we did. We're going to decrease, but we're going to use the needle instead. So we just go through the front loop. So let me zoom in so you can see. All right, so we go through the front loop of this one, and the front loop of the one next to it. And pull it through. Then through the front loops. And you don't have to do it in groups of 2. You could do it one at a time, that's fine. Just make sure that you put your yarn through the front, so you go through the front loops. So you go 1, and then through the front loop of the second one. And pull it on through. And 1 and 2. Pull it tight. And you do this for all 12 stitches. Okay, and you can see how it's starting to come together. And the last one. Yep, and so you just pull it tight and you can see that it's making a nice kind of closing. Very similar to the way it looks up top. Now it looks that way on the bottom. And that's the benefit of sewing it shut. So now we just need to hide this yarn tail in. So we stick our yarn, or we stick our needle through, and then just come out anywhere, but make sure you come out between stitches. So in the space between stitches, don't just stick it through the yarn. And then in that same place where you came out, you're going to go back in and then come out between some other stitches, like that. And then go through one more time, and then just, there we go. And by doing this, you make it so that the bottom is not going to come unraveled. So this tail is weaved in there, so it makes it very difficult for it to find its way out and for your piece to come unraveled. So once you've done that, you can break your yarn. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is make the arms. I've already made one here, and we're going to make the second one. So when you make the arms, just follow this this part of the video, and then go back and follow it again for the second arm. So what we need to do is make our slip knot. So wrap it around your finger and then pull it through the loop. And put your hook in and tighten it. And now, just like we did in the beginning, we're going to chain 4. So we're going to yarn over, pull through, and that's 1. Let me zoom in. It's wide. And then yarn over, pull through for 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to make a loop. So you take your hook and put it through this first chain, pull your yarn through, and then pull the first loop through the second, like that. And now we're gonna single crochet 6. So you take your hook and you go into the middle, pull your yarn through, yarn over, and single crochet 1, then back into the middle for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6. Now we're going to increase, so we have 9. So we're going to increase on every multiple of 3. So we're going to go into this first stitch. Oopsies. This first stitch, if I can get in it. Okay, and then single crochet 1. Then in the next stitch, we're going to increase. So in the next stitch, we're going to single crochet, that's 2, and then increase for 3. Then in the next stitch, 4, and then in the next stitch 5, and increase in that same stitch for 6. And then in the next stitch is, this is really hard. Sorry, next stitch is 7, and the next stitch is 8, and then in the same stitch increase for 9. So now we have 9 stitches. And now we're just going to single crochet continuously around for 36 stitches. So that's going to be for 4 rounds, 36 stitches total. So just crochet until you count up to 36. 1, 2, 3, and 36. All right, so now we have 36 stitches, and now we're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So you just stick your hook through, pull your yarn through, and then pull that loop through, just like that. And now we're gonna break our yarn, but take a little bit of a tail when you break your yarn. That way you can use your yarn to stuff the arm. So now we have 2 arms. Next, we're gonna make the legs. And like the arms, I already made 1 leg, so you can just go through this section of the video twice in order to make 2 legs. So here's the first one. Now, just like the arms, we're going to make our slip knot. Pull it tight. And just like the arms, we're going to chain 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And just like the arm, we're going to join them together. And now, similar to the arm, but not exactly the same, we're going to single crochet 5. So instead of 6, we're going to do 5. So put your hook through the middle and single crochet 1. Back into the middle for 2, back into the middle for 3, and 4, and 5. So now we have 5. And now we're going to increase in every one of these stitches so that we'll have 10. So we're going to go from 5 to 10. So put your hook through this first stitch and single crochet 1, and then back into that same stitch to increase for 2. In the next stitch is 3, and in the same stitch increase for 4. In the next stitch is 5, and in the same stitch increase for 6. In the next stitch is 7, and in the same stitch increase for 8. In the next stitch is 9, and in the same stitch increase for 10. So now we have 10. And now, just like the arm, we're going to continuously crochet around. This time we're just going to crochet up to 20, so for 2 rounds. So single crochet 1 in each around until you have 20 stitches. 1, 19, and 20. So we've reached the end of our 20 stitches, and now we're going to stick our hook through the next stitch and slip stitch. Okay, and just like the arm, we're going to take a bit of a tail, not as long as the arm, just a bit of a tail, and break our yarn, and then use that tail to stuff the leg. Okay, so now we have our legs and our arms.